Listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amy Kokert, and welcome to iOS 8 Translated. And happy iOS 8 Day. Super excited about iOS 8, and I'm sure you guys are too. So that's why everyone is here. Today, we're going to be hearing from Brian Prince. Brian is one of our Forget Computers Mac engineers, and he has a passion for iOS products. He's been beta testing iOS 8 since it was announced last June. He's one of the few Forget Computer employees that is extremely active on social media, and so he's definitely our go-to guy for anything Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook related. As a few of you know, Forget Computers is an IT consultancy based in Chicago, and since 1988, we've been helping businesses manage Apple technology. We're also the proud inventors of Robot Cloud, Device Scout, and Support Menu, all part of a suite of Mac and iOS management tools. Before we hear from Brian, real quick, many of you do know, since you've been with our webinars before, that we do like to use the raise your hand chat function. Your control panel should be on your screen somewhere, and we like to use that as a way of addressing questions. So what we're going to do real quick is I'd love to see you use that hand function and tell me if you've had a chance to upgrade to iOS 8 yet today. I've did it. Oh, we've got one person. Great. Glad to see that. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to introduce Mr. Brian Prince. This is also Brian's first webinar, so we want to make sure and be gentle on him. I'm going to, Brian, I'm going to introduce you now, and super excited to have you walk us through iOS 8. How are you doing today, Brian?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks, Amy. And I'm going to get this back up here. Alrighty. So just a quick something about myself. I'm a big iOS guy. Definitely love iOS. I used to work for Apple. I worked for Apple for about 4 years, and I started off as a sales rep. And when Apple saw my love for iOS, they quickly allowed me to start doing workshops and seminars specific to iOS. I did iOS 6, iOS 7, and now with Forget Computers, I'm doing an iOS 8 webinar. So something a little different, but it's still cool because iOS has gotten greater and greater and better over the years. Okay, so just a quick show of hands, who has already pre-ordered their iPhone 6 or iPhone 6 Plus? All right, looks like we got at least one that has pre-ordered his iPhone 6 or 6 Plus. I have pre-ordered my iPhone 6. I'm expecting it to be here by Saturday or Sunday, hopefully before Monday. iOS is the foundation of the iPhone, the iPad, and iPod Touch. With each iOS upgrade, we receive a different set of tools. Um, we receive a different set of tools that enable us to do everyday things in a not so easy way. And there's just a quick picture to put a face to the name there, or to the voice in this case. iOS 8 is a great new operating system. I mean, it's phenomenal. It has new features, but iOS 8 is all about refinement. iOS 7 was such a major jump in technology and features and benefits that I found many users were almost a bit overwhelmed by just how much the phone and the operating system had to offer. Well, in iOS 8, Apple has wisely went about making many of those enhancements more user-friendly. So today, I'm going to show you a few things, a few of those features in iOS 8 that I just can't live without. Okay. So the first thing, before we start talking about features, let's talk about compatibility. What devices are compatible with iOS 8? Because many of us have more than one iOS device at home. Okay, so we already know that iOS 8 is compatible with the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus, but what about the rest? So we're so lucky. Not only is iOS 8 a free upgrade, but it is compatible with the iPhone 4S, the iPad 2, the iPhone 5, the iPad 3, the iPhone 5C in all of its many colors, the iPad mini with Retina display, the iPhone 5S, the iPad 4, iPod 5th generation. Now that's special to note because that's the only iPod that's compatible with iOS 8. Any previous iPod will not be compatible with iOS 8. So the iPod 5th generation is the only compatible iPod. And the lovely and lightweight iPad Air. Apple does a great job. They work really, really hard to try to make their iOS available on as many products as possible. So this is just an example of that. Pretty much every working piece of hardware that Apple makes is compatible with iOS 8. Does anybody have a show of hands? Does anybody have a device that is not able to be upgraded to iOS 8? Good. That's exactly what we want.
Brian, I have to chime in here. I'm actually the proud owner of a first gen iPad. So unfortunately, it's kind of a little outdated, but I had to chime in there. Sorry.
That's great. Looks like we may have another person who also has at least one device that's not compatible with iOS, but that's okay. No, this is a no judgment zone. Okay. So as Amy mentioned, I've been checking out iOS 8 for a while. I've had a chance to learn some ins and outs and figure out what I like most. The following are 4 that I picked to share with you today. Universal Spotlight Search, QuickType, Favorites in Photos, email enhancements, and a smarter double-click action. Okay. The reason I picked these 4, because there's obviously a lot. Usually Apple will kind of package about 200 new features and benefits into each iOS upgrade. But the reason I picked these 4 or 5 is because these are all things that I use personally that I have used personally every day since upgrading to iOS 8. So first, let's talk about Universal Spotlight Search. Okay, so what you see on the screen is kind of the gist of Universal Spotlight Search. The reason why Universal Search is one of my favorites is not because it's some new thing that's never existed before. It's actually been around for a little bit. It's because business customers now have access to all of their content by simply going to the home screen and swiping down. That's how you get to Universal Spotlight Search. Go to the home screen, swipe down. With Universal Search, a user can type in any keyword that's included in the item that they are looking for, and Universal Search will find it for them. This includes searching for the internet. Okay? For example, if you have a meeting with a client and you can't remember what time, but you know that it's going to be at the Westin, right? I'm meeting up and I know it's going to be at the Westin, but I don't know what time. You can literally type in the word Westin on the left or in the Spotlight search, and it will show you the appointment. In the example here, they typed in Minecraft. Notice, just like any popular search engine, you don't have to actually type in the entire word. It's smart enough to kind of start giving you those suggestions as you type. A habit that many of my business customers have gotten into is organizing their apps into different folders. This is a good practice, but what happens is when you're looking for an app, like right after you get so many folders, when you're looking for an app, you need to, you're like, where did I put it? What folder did I put it in? Well, instead of swiping back and forth on your home screen to search different folders and search different apps, at any point you can swipe down, take your thumb, put it in the middle of the screen, and simply just swipe it down, and type in the name of the app as they're doing in the example on the right, and it'll show up. And it will even show you, they don't show it in this example, but if, let's say for example, I had Minecraft downloaded on my phone and it was on the 5th page, so it's kind of tucked in there. When I type in Minecraft, to the right of Minecraft, it will even show me what folder it's in, kind of as a, so that I have a better reference in the future. So on the right, on the far right, that's an example in iOS 7 where I typed in Minecraft and it really only gives me the option to search the web or search Wikipedia. And then to the left of that same window, notice it gives me the option to go to the App Store and or the Minecraft website. This works for everything like music, nearby location, movie times. You can even do settings right from this menu. Very, very powerful feature now included in iOS 8. Next is QuickType. If you can believe it, iOS 8 can read your mind. So on the right and on the left, we have two examples of QuickType. The left is an example of QuickType in email, and the right is an example of QuickType in the new messaging app. Okay. So you might ask, why QuickType? Why is this something fancy? Why is this important? QuickType is something that many other smartphones have had for at least a year. The answer can be summed up in one phrase: context-based predictive text. That's the difference between Apple's QuickType and any other predictive or QuickType application. So what does this mean? Many keyboards will throw a word up after you start typing it. This is often inconvenient because really once you start typing, it's usually quicker to just finish typing the word than it is to select a suggestion that the keyboard gave you. Well, in Apple's QuickType, iOS 8 is smart enough to understand the context of what's being typed and predictively give you answers before you even start to type. Okay, so it gives you suggestions before you even type. For example, if someone asks you out for a business meeting at 1 p.m. or at 2 p.m., QuickType will preload the responses 1 p.m., 2 p.m., or maybe. Or if someone asks you for dinner and or movie, as shown in the example to the right, QuickType will preload dinner, a movie, or not sure. So I never even had to type anything in the example to the right. It already knew what my options were based on the conversation, the context. This often makes typing, this will really make typing so much quicker, especially for users with, thicker, big fingers or long nails, or users who find it difficult to type for, whatever reason. But there's one more cool thing that sets QuickType apart from the rest. It learns your typing style based on who you're talking to. To explain that, if you're speaking with a certain person and you always use official terms, a colleague or a client, it will often give you official suggestions. However, if you're speaking with a work friend or family member and you tend to use slang or ebonics, it will give you suggestions like I or y'all. Those are words we usually use with our friends and family. I'll meet you there. All right, cool. It'll preload. All right, cool. So it's really, really cool. I found it to be really, really, really nice. And actually, if you look at the example to the right, you'll notice that the word tonight is underlined. iOS has improved data detectors. We'll talk about this when we get to the email section. Okay, so next is going to be favorites and photos. Okay, so above we have two examples. iOS 7 is to the left. This is actually Amy's phone, her iPhone, and then my phone is to the right, iOS 8, the phone that I had iOS 8 on. Okay, the iPhone is the most used camera in the world. More photos are taken on the iPhone than on any other camera. So it would really only make sense that Apple would give a little attention to the Photos app in iOS 8. Looking at the screen, you will see a few subtle differences in iOS 7 photos versus iOS 8 photo app. The first thing you may see is the new favorites section on the right. This is something that I saw and I kind of dismissed as kind of being pointless. I was like, all right, cool, favorites, all right, whatever. But what I quickly realized is that we all have those special photos that we want to quickly access at, a dinner party to show off. How many times have you wanted to show a client something you took a photo of, or show a friend, your new toy or your gorgeous newborn? We all do it. It's shameless, but like I said earlier, this is a no judgment zone. Well, now when you take a photo, if it happens to be a money shot, or if it happens to be something that you really, really like, it doesn't show you in the example, but you can actually, there's a little heart below the photo. You simply tap the heart and it will automatically go into the favorites folder. Apple did a really, really good job with that. And notice just overall, they cleaned up the Photos app. So you're not bogged down trying to decide, okay, what's the difference between camera roll and photo stream? Or, that doesn't exist anymore. It's just recently added, favorites, and recently deleted. One last thing you'll notice on this page is the new photo search function in the top right corner, piggybacking from the universal search topic that we discussed earlier. There's a new dedicated photo search option within the Photo app, that little magnifying glass in the top right. You can search photos using keywords just like you can in universal search. I personally find location-based keywords to work the best. So, for example, if I was in Mexico City in 2008, and then I can either type in the word 2008 in that search box, or I can type in Mexico to see, with all the photos that were taken in Mexico City. To me, the location or the date seem to work the best when you search in photos. So a lot of really nice under the hood options to play around with in photos. Next is email enhancements. Email is always a biggie for iPhone users. Apple has made a lot of great, strides in beefing up the email engine. iOS 8 improves on the simple things, server reliability and the fetching schedule of your emails. They did also add some really nice, fun, time-saving gestures to the email app. For example, if you swipe from left to right, it will mark the email as unread. So if you read an email, you decide, you know what, this email is important, I want to mark it as unread. Instead of typing in the email and then tapping the little flag at the bottom and then selecting another, tap, that's 3 taps, you can now just swipe from left to right on the email and it will mark it as read. This, again, used to be something that took, 3 or 4 taps. Also, if you swipe, you can swipe left for more options, as it shows on the example to the right. Swiping left lets you choose to flag a message. You can quickly move a message to a folder or send it to the trash by simply swiping from right to left. If you keep your finger moving, this is something I kind of found really cool. If you keep your finger moving all the way to the left, so instead of kind of swiping halfway to get those 3 options, if you do a really quick, kind of hard swipe, just swoosh, it'll delete it instantly. So if you swipe it really quick, fast, and hard, it won't even give you those options. It'll just delete it instantly. What makes that cool is it's something that used to take 4 or 5 taps to perform. Now it can be done in, a swipe. And remember those data detectors that we discussed earlier? Well, they work in mail too. This means that if you need to schedule a meeting based on the date that was sent through email, All you have to do is tap the date. You'll then be given options for creating a calendar event. iOS 8 will recognize who sent you the email and all the names included in the email, and will ask if you want to invite those people to the calendar event, all while staying inside the app. Okay, so this works great for things like date night with your significant other, adding names from an email into a contact. So if somebody sends me a quick name, you can, instead of having the name in email, opening up contacts, then having to flip back over to email to find out what the name was, and then go to contacts, then having to flip back over to email to get the number. The data detector in email will recognize all of that information for you. It'll recognize a person's name, telephone number, any date on the calendar, and it will give you the option to create it all from within the Mail app. So you never actually have to leave the Mail app. So Apple has really refined email integration in iOS 8. And last but not least, I kind of threw this up there because originally we were going to do 4, but I threw this up here as a 5th one because I really think Apple did a great job with a smarter double-click action. Very often I'm multitasking between apps, just like in the example I just gave, where I'm switching between email and contacts and Facebook and Twitter and photos and text messages. And I'm jumping back and forth. And what's really cool is iOS 8 features a really nice recents or favorites section at the top of your screen. When you double click, it will bring up all of their names, because usually the reason why we are multitasking or jumping back and forth between messages and photos and emails and telephone is because we're communicating with a person. So now when you double click, all those names, the recent person that you just finished communicating with will show up at the top. And if you tap on that person's name, it will give you the option from this same menu to send them a text message or make a phone call or make a FaceTime call, or you send them an email, all from this menu. Again, refinement, not anything crazy, not anything new, just allowing you to do the same things you've always done a little better. Okay, so it looks cool, and I really, really think it's convenient. Is really something that it kind of snuck up on me. I didn't realize it was a best feature until just like 2 days ago. I'm like, you know what? I think I used this smarter double click action to select the person I was speaking with more than anything else on my phone. But it's probably one of the most subtle things that Apple added to iOS 8. And all right, so questions. I'm going to go ahead and give control back to
Oh, that's
Amy
okay,
here.
Brian. You can keep it.
Oh, no? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I was actually following along with you as I just had upgraded earlier today, and like you, I didn't think that favorites was such a big deal until I
Yeah.
actually walked through it myself. So thanks
Yeah.
so much. So we've got a whole list of questions here. So thank you everyone for submitting them. First question, and Brian, I'm just going to rapid fire these at you because I see we've only got 7 minutes left.
Uh-huh.
How long does it take to upgrade?
That's a good question. Upgrading is dependent upon actually a few things, because there are 2 ways you can upgrade. You can either upgrade over Wi-Fi, which essentially means you're just connected to a Wi-Fi network, and without having to plug into anything, probably except power, you just go to settings and then general and then software update. And if you update over Wi-Fi, that's dependent upon the speed of your phone. An iPhone 5S will obviously upgrade quicker than an iPhone 4S. And it also is dependent upon your Wi-Fi speed. I have UVerse at home, so I'm going to knock UVerse. If you're upgrading on Comcast, it'll probably be quicker than upgrading on UVerse, just to give an example. So that's the answer. It really depends.
Great.
There's no set answer on that one.
Thank
I'd
you.
say, Amy, you know what? I'd say a safe answer will probably be about, let's say, 15 to 20 minutes.
Brian, this this is a great segue into another question. Two-step verification. Someone mentioned we had a question. What is two-step verification? I think some people are hearing about how that's involved in the upgrade process. I actually went through it myself.
Yeah.
And could you explain that really quickly and the benefits of two-step verification?
Yeah, so the benefits of it is it allows you to be essentially notified when something strange is happening or anything is happening. For example, I get a notification when I sign into iTunes on my phone. It will notify you through email and through something like a text message. So, given the whole, leaked photo things that took place, had two-step verification been been in place, that person would have received better notification and would have immediately been given the option to kind of lock that down uh, instead of finding out through, through the local news. Um, it allows you to create like a pin and everything. So it's really cool. I would definitely go to apple.com, and you can just, instead of giving you a long web address, I'll say go to apple.com. And in the search bar in the top right corner, you should be able to type in two-step verification, and it will give you a nice, really long breakdown of what it does. And it even gives you a step-by-step of how to activate it. It is recommended. I do now recommend it, given the hackers and everything that are out there, and it's just safe for our own information. I mean, I'm a big fan. My philosophy is people don't want my information, in my opinion, but you really never, you really never know for a business or for a business customer. There are people out there that they just do things just
Absolutely.
because. Yeah.
So, moving the tenor of the conversation to Apple IDs.
Yeah.
Love those Apple ID conversations. I've got two questions, and they're around the same topic, so I'm going to give them to you both. Question is, should people that have more than 20 devices attached to an iCloud account upgrade to
Hmm.
iOS 8? And I know you and I were talking about this before the webinar, because we had also received a question: how many devices can be managed by a single iCloud
Yeah.
account?
Yeah.
So can you talk to that?
Well, the latter will really answer the first, right? So the question to the latter, as far as how many in regard to an iCloud account, we're going to say 10 is what you want to stick to. Should a person with 20 or 30 devices upgrade to iOS 8? Um, this is 100% opinionated, but I would not do it today, right? I wouldn't run and jump and upgrade it today. Maybe on the personal devices, you can see what kinks are there. But as far as business devices or mass deployment, I would probably wait at least, at the very least, a week or two before upgrading or mass deploying and upgrade.
I would agree with you, Brian. I have heard, we've had some projects at Forget Computers where we've had to reach out to Apple and whitelist certain IP addresses.
Yes.
And Apple does keep a very tight watch on Apple
Yeah.
IDs and how many
Yes.
devices are associated with that. That's not to say that they can watch every single situation, but
Right.
that is typically not a best practice.
Yeah, and Apple, the good thing about Apple, briefly here, is they will warn you when you're kind of reaching your limit. Um, so if you sign into one device with one Apple ID, you sign out, then sign into that same device with another Apple ID, which is it shouldn't be done, but if you do that, Apple will
That's
kind of
true.
let it slide for a little bit. They won't say anything, they'll warn you, but eventually they will tell you, hey, if you sign out and in with this new Apple ID, it will be locked. You've kind of exceeded your number, and this will be locked in for 90 days. You won't be able to sign out or make a change for 90 days. So because of that, we usually recommend each person have their own Apple ID for their own device, and they stay signed in with that.
So, and you're setting me up great. I've got one more question here. How do family accounts work in iOS 8, and how does that change the way businesses need to think about Apple for corporate mission support and
Yeah.
management? And this is another question that we talked about. Will these devices still be able to share, all of these apps? And do you want to take that one, or do you want to kind of tag team that?
Well, we can tag team it. I want to just kind of make a blanket statement and say the easiest way to explain it is family sharing is not, management. right?
Yep.
Family sharing does not equal iOS management, business management. Family sharing is something a little bit different than that. Um, so I wouldn't recommend somebody using family share for their business. Go ahead, Amy.
No, I agree with you completely.
Yeah. Essentially, family share is kind of like what we've experienced with management of our iOS devices. Apple actually, I think they just recently gave us more information on that. So I have an article. Whoever had that question, I have an article that I'll send to them. It's titled "Family Share on iOS
That's
Explained."
great.
Yeah, and
Thank,
it'll break it down.
thank you very much. Thanks, Brian. We just have one more question, and I thought this was a great one. Airdrop from phone to the computer.
Oh yeah, that's my baby right there.
Yeah, somebody was like, "Okay, how can I use this?" A little stymied by the concept of
Yeah.
AirDrop from phone to computer. Can you very quickly, in say 30 seconds, give us an example of that in a business environment?
Yes. I have a document or a photo that I want to send to a person. Now, let's just say a document. It would take more time for me to go to my phone, type up an email, add a subject, attach the document, and it would take even more time to do that on a computer. Whereas AirDrop, I can literally tap the document, or I can actually right click on the document and hit AirDrop. If the recipient also has their AirDrop window open, they will show up, and the two devices will create kind of like an ad hoc, like a peer-to-peer encrypted network between each other, and you can literally just boop, hit send, and it'll share it. So the whole gist of AirDrop is encrypted file transfer, and it's more convenient and quicker than sending, opening up using an app or using a web interface or, anything like that. The most work you have to do is say, hey, open up AirDrop, I'm going to send you a file. That's about the most work you have to do.
Thank you
So
so
as long as
much.
the two people are with AirDrop, as long as the two people are on the same Wi-Fi, then they can AirDrop. That's the only kind of criteria. You have to be on the same Wi-Fi to AirDrop.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Brian. This is all we have time for today. Brian, would you mind forwarding to the next slide? Um,
Yeah.
I want to make sure everyone knows how to get in touch with us. We are always looking for additional followers on our Twitter at robot_cloud, at Device Scout, and at Forget Computers. Feel free to like us on Facebook. If you have any questions or any suggestions for future webinars, info@forgetcomputers.com. I will also drive you guys to our YouTube channel for a whole series, including this one, of webinars that we are consistently having. Next week, we will be hosting a webinar, same time on Wednesday, 3 o'clock. It's a Robot Cloud Customer Spotlight. We'll be
Same bad
featuring
time, same bad channel.
exactly Jonathan Marcus and Doug Tomlinson out in Texas, who are loving Robot Cloud and using it actively. So thank you all so much, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Please let us know if there's any other information you'd like. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Great. Take it easy, guys.